The African continent believes that anything that is mentally, a mental issue, any mental problem that anybody would have is simply discussed, and they say that it's demonic. Anybody who speaks to any mental issue in Africa, and especially where religion is concerned, that person is demonized. They are, the enemy is fighting them. Satan has invaded them. And I'll be honest, that's partly true. But so is cancer. And so is a backache. It's all demonic one way or another, whichever way you look at it. But why is it that we go to hospital when we have a backache? Why is it that we go to hospital when someone is diagnosed with cancer? Why do we take medicine and ingest it when you have an ailment in any one other way? Why is it that when it is a mental health issue, the church wishes it away and say, come, let's pray for you and lay hands on you so that you may be delivered? Now, I'm not here fighting what the church says. I actually believe partly it's very true. But then could there be a chemical imbalance in someone's mind to cause them to be either, they're suffering from schizophrenia, or they're having, bipolar, or one of these other? Yes, the answer is yes. Is it an infirmity like the rest? Yes. Why treat it differently? And I believe that that's the biggest fallacy the church comes with and says, no, if that person has a mental condition, they have demonic influence over their lives. That's a big one. What does that do? So think about believers. Then you don't take your child to receive the medical help they need, and all you do is call pastor number 1, call pastor number 2, call pastor number 3 to your home. When they get to pastor number 5, even your faith has dwindled, because the same issue remains with that child. Let us look at this thing and call it what it is. We have a lot of people going through a lot of stress that triggers different mental illnesses. How then are we supposed to deal with these people? Give them the best treatment they can. Look, the medical help that you can receive today throughout the world is at a very advanced level. I believe God has given people the abilities to put things together, concoctions together, that can bring our bodies back to normal working condition. Do I believe in healing and miraculous healings? Yes. But do I also believe that God uses doctors and the hands of men to bring full healing to people? Yes. Let us call it what it is, and let us apply the knowledge that God has given us. A lot of people do feel that way. They feel at one point or another, nobody is seeing me. I think we talked about someone who said, the people I've looked up to all my life to see me don't see me. How your parents, or the person who is supposed to be closest to you, your loved one, should be able to see or notice a change in your life, and then yet they don't, can leave you at a state of feeling very invisible. Does the church, do the religious organizations contribute to feeling invisible? Yes. Why? Because these are human beings that we live with, again, in the same society. These are not people who have been dropped from heaven. Same sets of issues that you're going through, they're probably going through. You feel invisible because you're crying out for help, yet nobody can hear your cry. You feel invisible because even your little milestones, nobody is recognizing them. And that takes me back, or returns me to the point of saying the only thing that can give you that satisfaction, and the only thing that can give you that feeling of I am being noticed, is the person that you're worshiping. When you begin to worship man, that's where you start to see the flaws in man. Years ago, I remember we brought in an artist that we really admired. And this was an artist who was, in our faith, one of the A-list artists. And long story short, by the time the artist left, I can count the number of times I've listened to his CDs or to his albums or to his songs, because I came in very close proximity with the individual. And what I found, I did not like. Because sometimes coming into proximity with people, you will come to discover one thing, that they are only human. And they have flaws like the rest of us do. Do you feel invisible and think the church or your pastor or spiritual authority should feel a particular need that you have? You're looking on to the wrong person. Look up, and look up to whoever you worship. And let that not be a person who is a man who has their own flaws. And they would never be able to take away or bring in that feeling of you're visible, I see you. The truth is, we all at one point have our own insecurities in one way or another. Being able to deal with that and understand, when you understand your true purpose here on this earth, then you will start to understand that you do not need anybody's accolade or anybody to recognize that what you're doing is right. What you need to know is, this is what I'm here for, and get that job done. Anybody else coming alongside is only a bonus. Don't look for people to lift you up. Don't look for people to start to see you for who you are. Start to do what you're called to do, and people will recognize that you're there. There is a space everybody in life is looking for, and that space is called your purpose. What is it that you're here for? Nobody else can fulfill your purpose. Figure it out quickly, and start to walk towards that journey. If you feel invisible, find a friend. Talk to people. Many times we withdraw, and that withdrawal is what actually brings more harm or does more harm to us, because you're left almost two people, yourself and yourself. So you're speaking to yourself, and then you're responding to yourself. And many times what that cooks at the back end is nothing positive. You will always feel sorry for yourself. So you'll always be at a place of a pity party and throwing a pity party. And many times people like that are always withdrawn. They don't want to interact with society. They don't want to interact even with the people who are closest to them. And that's why, isn't it funny that you find family members saying, we didn't even know that that's what they were going through. We didn't even know that they were depressed. We didn't even know. But it happens all the time. I have so many examples in my mind right now of people who come from even wealthy homes or well-to-do places, but their end has not ended up well. For some of them who are now gone because of mental issues, crying out for help and receiving no help, or thinking they're crying out for help, but no one is hearing, or could probably be crying out for that help, but in a way nobody even is able to conceive. Let us be very careful not to blame others also for not hearing our cry. Reach out to someone and tell them, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm dealing with. Spell it out. If you can't tell them, write it down. Write it down. Years ago someone said, every time you write down something, you're able to read it back just to assure yourself that this is what you really meant to write. Reach out to somebody. There's always somebody ready to listen. Always. But reach out and tell them, this is what I'm dealing with. Otherwise, we will never know what it is that you're going through.